Okay, this is the time that was noticed and posted for our work session. This is Wednesday, April the 12th, 2023. It's 10 o'clock a.m. We're in the Board of Supervisors Executive Conference Room, Melody Lane, Bisley. Any item that's on this agenda is open for discussion, and we begin with the roll call. District 1.
Crosby is here.
District 2, Supervisor English is present. District 3.
Supervisor Judd is here.
We have a complete board this morning. Members of the public may also attend this meeting by Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app, or by phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714, conference ID 267-555-656#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. Remember, work sessions are a time for the county staff to inform and discuss agenda items with the Board of Supervisors, and public comments will not be taken. Introductions, as always, in work sessions, and for the sake of the minutes, please introduce yourself and your title when you begin to speak so that the record can be clear as to the comments that are being made. Today we're going to be talking about the work session, the budget, and so I'm going to turn it over to our County Administrator, Mr. Karwachka.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Supervisor Crosby, Supervisor Judd. So this is the start off of our budget work session and this season, as we call it. So this is a chance for us, me, and our budget manager, Juan Frisbee, to do a presentation to start the conversation, not only to inform the supervisors, the people in the county, and also the public. So there's several different topics that we're going to cover today. This will not be the start and the end of the conversation, simply the start. And as supervisors, if you noticed on your agenda, there's several budget meetings set up by the elected departments, and then we'll gather that information and meet with all the other departments to present those requests and where we are when we get closer to moving towards the tentative budget. So with that, a couple topics that we're going to cover today is the expenditure limit, the expenses, and the revenues. And I'll kick that over to Mr. Frisbee.
So I'm Juan Frisbee, budget manager for the county. And yeah, let me start. Our expenditure limit is $78.8 million this year. We did get an increase, and it's because we got an increase in both population and inflation. Our GDP implicit price deflator went from 118 to 127, which is what gave us this $78.8 million. We had an increase in both. We had an increase in population and inflation. So the majority of the increase is caused due to inflation. So what counts towards our expenditure limit? So where does the money come from? Think local. Any revenue we receive from local is what counts for expenditure limit. I provided Appendix 5 that has different items that count and don't count towards our expenditure limit. On the next slide, I provided a graph of how much our expenditure limit has increased throughout the years. We're on the green bar. So current year expenses for fiscal year FY23, most departments and offices are projected to be under budget. We have been working closely with departments to maintain them under budget, and there is, however, some departments that won't be able to meet expectations, and it's elections.
And so elections is the department when employees leave the county, whether they retire or leave positions, they get paid out for the amount of PTO time they've acquired. And that burden is borne on the department. So we had 2 significant retirements or people leaving the elections department. That payout would make the elections department over budget. And also we have the jail district elections and the cost of that election. I've been talking to Recorder Stevens, and so we're working on what that cost would need to be and money transferred in that we'll present to the board down the way. But that we wanted to make sure that you're aware of that cost, and there's a reason for that cost. And Mr. Frisbee does a great job. We mentioned this in past meetings. We all meet monthly to look at all the department's budgets and make sure that they're under budget, and if there's some concerns that we contact the department to make sure that there is a path forward. So we're not in this meeting pointing them out. And elections is just one of them in this year based on those circumstances.
So potential increases for expenses, fiscal year 24. I've gathered the following data. ASRS, it's a small increase of 30,000, and that's due to contribution rates going from 12.17 to 12.29. Employer health benefits, employee health benefits, the employer, we will be covering $500,000 this year. CCOM, there's an...
So maybe a good time to ask, what does that cover for our employees, the $500,000?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, please.
This is Sharon Gilman. I'm the Deputy County Administrator. So that involves our medical health benefits. It's related to our AmeriVen medical plan that sees that increase for the high deductible, well, not the high deductible health plan, the employee, I always call it employee only, but that's not what it's called. The PPEO and the buy-up, those benefits that you approved in a previous board meeting, the employer contribution increased $500,000 this year.
And even though insurance has steadily increased, there was a huge increase this year that we're going to bear the costs, and we've adjusted so that our employees don't get a huge increase in the benefits that they receive. So they're still getting the same benefits. It is a slight increase, but it's not the dramatic increase that have been passed on to us as a county as a whole.
Well, I think we need to mention that so that the employees will understand, that why their insurance isn't going up, and they look around at all the market and everything is going up. And so we need to take credit for that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a hard concept to say that, hey, we're going to take on this burden, but at the end of the day, an employee will still see their check and be like, I have to pay $2 more. Yes, you have to pay $2 more, but you're not paying $30 more or $40 more. So.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so CCOM is our next one. 300,000 is expected, but I mean, they're still in the budgeting phase, so this could decrease, increase. I'm expecting lower, but 300,000 is a conservative amount. CSA, County Supervisor Association, fees increased by 40,000, and county market compensation plan updates will be presented mid-May or during work sessions.
That CSA 40,000, isn't that the one time?
One time I think it was for 10,000, but I think continued on it'd be 25,000.
So it'll be 25 from here on.
An additional 25.
Additional.
And that's for the additional help in Washington, D.C. with the, I want to say the Federal Bureau of Payments to states?
No. So the County Supervisors Association has proposed a fee increase to counties, and that's why we're anticipating this will pass. And it's to cover their increased expenses as an organization and for the legislative support they provide through legislative analysis.
So this has nothing to do with the additional money that they ask us for the Washington help with the federal government payment.
That's
Correct.
This
This
is
is more the increase of their cost and operation.
So it hasn't come to us yet, you're just anticipating.
correct.
So that's what we're
'Cause
trying to.
I haven't seen a 40,000 increase from CSA.
No, and these are just expenses that we think that in fiscal year 24, we're anticipating, so that put it on your radar and everyone else's radar.
Okay.
What we anticipate the cost. And as Mr. Frisbee mentioned, HR and our budget manager work together regarding the market data. So I think we're anticipating mid-May we can get what that information is, and then we'll present it to the Board of Supervisors regarding any kind of salary increases. Our goal last year was to bring each department or each position, or at least budget for that position up to 96% of market. We can't ever compete and go to 100% of market, but those numbers we anticipate mid-May.
So some of our anticipated unknown increase include potential ongoing legal expenses, operating and maintenance costs, 3 to 5% increase. This includes fleet, utilities for facilities. So I've contacted them. They're saying like a 3 to 5%. This is just due to inflation, and this covers both like under fleet repairs and maintenance, and for facilities, it's utilities. We still haven't seen those increases, but that's what we're expecting so far. PSPRS Corp EORP employer contributions. They haven't released their rates for this year. So once I get those numbers, I'll be able to do the same analysis I did for ASRS. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by rates?
So employers, the employees are contribute a rate to their pension, and the employer, us, provide.
Okay, percent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Match.
Have you seen anything as far as earnings, earnings or losses?
Earnings or losses for
their investments.
And their investments. They're I went to their meeting. They're being pretty conservative with their investments right now. So I think they mentioned short-term bonds to be safe. So they're can't provide you the real numbers, but from what I saw, they are covering accurately for the times we're in. But yeah, we don't have the losses they had, what was it, 10 years ago?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
And I think that information won't come out until maybe in June or July.
The
we
new
get
unfunded
the
liability.
new unfunded liability.
Oh.
And Supervisor Crosby, is that what you're referring to? Is the
Well,
liability?
basically that's gonna cause the greater unfunded liability if the multiple colored line bar graph chart, the highest line was the lowest rate of earnings, and I think that was maybe 5%, and it could be a lot lower than that, which means the unfunded part would be a lot higher.
Okay. I'll review with them,
Okay.
see unfunded liability. Okay. But yeah, I don't have those numbers with
I
me. So
understand. They probably don't want to put it out.
So yeah, state cost shifts. Altex will increase $290,000. Arizona Department of Revenue Software, $6,000, and other in-state budget costs.
Didn't I see that access was going up for us?
I haven't received that.
Not Altex, but access. What?
We haven't received
I
that
haven't
information
received
yet.
Well, in conversations at CSA, some of the information they've put out,
Mhm.
it looks like that we're getting an increase in access costs also.
We can double check. We did verify with CSA these numbers, and they didn't mention that, so we can double check.
Okay.
That-
Well, until the legislature's over, who knows what they're going to
and
throw at us.
that's always the problem.
Right.
So it might not be worth noting now, but as they come closer to the budget, and I think that's, sorry.
What's Altex, some or other computer system?
Long-term care system.
Long-term care.
She said.
And yeah, so in total, we're expecting more than $1 million for next year in continuous increases.
So
Well,
just,
you know, the government, since the pandemic money is not flowing anymore to the hospitals, the unfunded, that's one thing that we'll need to keep checking on, is because we have to pay extra for those people who appear at the hospital that have no insurance. You know, what do they call it?
uninsured.
Yeah, they're uninsured, but I mean, there's a title that the state sends us a bill for.
Oh.
Can't remember what the terminology is, but it's to help hospitals defray the cost of all of those who appear that don't have insurance. And what I'm saying is they're being kicked off of access and the government programs at a fast rate right now.
Mhm.
And so in 24, that's going to be noteworthy. I'm not hoping it will be, but what I'm saying is when people don't have insurance, they appear at the emergency room. They have to be treated according to the law. And then that bill goes into a big pool and they divvy it out among the counties. So we need to, since you're new, be aware of that, okay?
Okay.
And keep checking on that to see if that is going to be a heavy burden for us. Because when people are checked off of insurance, they still go to the emergency room.
Okay.
Okay. Rural hospitals are hit particularly hard.
So that being said, revenue potential negative impacts. Senate Bill 1063, also known as the food tax exemption bill, won't be affecting us. So this will mostly affect cities. So our revenue won't be impacted by this. However, Senate Bill 1263 and 1276 could potentially decrease our net assessed value, therefore decreasing our revenue.
And what we've seen in the past, I think year after year, as the legislature tries to make some adjustment for property tax. So when we talk about 1263, Bill 1263, that's an exemption for agriculture and businesses to pay taxes. So that would be a loss to the county. And
Well, they keep trying to move the commercial net assessed value down.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember it was 25%, and now they have it down to 17 or 18, I think, and they're trying to get it down to the same rate that a homeowner pays.
and that's what.
So every year they try to move it down a percentage or two. And of course that affects everybody that gets property tax, so. But it's in the hopper, so I have an idea that it probably will pass, so the net assessed value of commercial property will probably go down.
And that's what we always look for, keep track of, so we anticipate what those changes will be.
And this would affect our FY25, right?
Right.
So I'm just, planning ahead because, I mean, if we're hit, it will be a hit to our revenue.
I think it's just important to note that the decisions and things that we do here are not always affected in this room. As we have the outside factors of the legislature always making decisions, and then it trickles down. That makes job of budgeting a little difficult.
So, general fund revenue plan. This just shows what our general fund revenue is made out of. So, just showing that we don't have one single stream of revenue. We have property tax, which is, we're not only property tax, we have our sales tax and other, which is intergovernmental, fees and our second biggest source of revenue is sales tax, which is our next slide. Our biggest stream of revenue in our county sales tax is retail. So I do look each month, once we get the numbers from AZ, what is it? AZ,
Deal. Department of Revenue.
AZDR, yeah, Department of Revenue. I plug them in and see and analyze them because there's a lot of factors that could impact retail, one being inflation that could drive consumers away. Thankfully, we also have the online. If they don't shop locally, it'll bounce into the online. So online makes up for some of the retail losses we've had. Utilities and restaurants are our next biggest sources of revenue from the county sales tax. But yeah, I look more closely to our biggest revenue line, which is our retail. So our next slide is assessed valuations. We had an increase to 1.07 billion. This is due to new construction, which is 2.2%, and property improvements and increases to value, which is 2.6%. So what's next? Looking forward, late April is our elected official work sessions coming soon. Mid-May, final work session before the tentative budget adoption. We'll go over revenue projections and funding requests. June, tentative budget adoption. July, final budget adoption. And August, property tax rate adoption. Any questions?
Ms. Judd, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you. I'd reviewed it all last night and tried to think of questions, but it's done very well. I did the one little item with the cost to, I don't think that's a $40,000 increase. I did unmute so I could talk at that time, but for CSA, it 40,000 sounds like the new cost, not plus 40,000, right?
I think our current cost is around 66, and it'll be jumping.
So they're going to add 40,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize it was that much. I should have been paying attention. That's okay. They're very valuable, and they do lobby for us on the state level a lot, and on the federal level quite a bit too. So thank you.
Any questions, concerns, Tom?
I'm just looking at this last page, debt payment says not PRS unfunded liability, and I presume that is because it is not a loan.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think that's the overall what we tried to present. I think Mr. Frisbee did a great job. It's just what everyone else is feeling is that just day by day, you keep moving and you keep working, but it's expenses of moving and living day by day is more. So.
Well, a couple of good news things. It appears as though HERF and the vehicle license tax revenues have not suffered because of inflation. And so I say haven't suffered. You know, they might have been higher, but they're still in the range of what projections are. So that's always good news, because the state's always viewing that vehicle license tax that we get and thinking that it should be theirs. But the good news on HERF, the rural transportation road network that's in the hopper right now still is being passed. So we may be able to get some significant improvements. It won't be money to HERF, but it will be roads in our region that will be upgraded if the legislature continues to move forward with the majority that it has right now of approving it. It's, I won't say it's $1 billion, but it's a lot of money, and they're asking for almost all of what they consider to be the excess money that's at the state. So whether it'll get pared down, killed altogether, it's still moving though. So I guess that's the good news. And our HERF funds, like I say, haven't suffered. So I think we probably have the best county roads anywhere. I'm always proud of, the work that they do. And we've had the money to continue to do that. So
Does HERF lag and does online sales tax lag? Is there a lag of a year or 2 years or something like that before?
2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, on these numbers, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
When they say it's for last month, it's actually for the month before.
Yeah.
So when they say April, they're really talking about the month before that, so it confuses people. Yeah. Yes, Ms. Judd, you had a question?
So some of the higher tax revenues or the maintained level of tax revenues also comes because it's based on, especially the sales tax, it's based on the cost of items. So when we see that going up, it's not necessarily going up because our costs are higher too, just like the consumers' costs are higher. So I just wanted to kind of talk about that a minute if we could, because that is the case, isn't it?
Yes. So, sorry.
Yeah, that is correct. So items increase, therefore revenue increase, but that could also, and I think I mentioned it right now, could drive consumers from buying, which could potentially then decrease our revenue. So that's why I keep a close eye on retail. Yeah.
But that's why we have the increase capture is because the price of goods is more expensive. So we're capturing that right now. So that is correct, Supervisor Joe.
I think one thing that we as county elected officials have to keep explaining to the state, when we're looking at that online sales and we're looking at the other, which is local sales, they act like that's extra money, the online sales, and we keep saying to them, and we need to keep repeating it over and over and over, yes, these are different, but they're not more, because there are six businesses that went out of business, and those people are shopping online. So those people were shopping in the local shoe store. The local shoe store is gone. So the state keeps looking at this, and I've heard legislators say it, more than once. Yeah, but look at all the extra money because we passed, so that you could tax the online sales. It's not extra money. It's just, and I'm not even sure that it brings us up to the level of the same, but, we're just getting it from a different source. But it's, we keep trying to tell them that, yes, that vacant building doesn't bring in the taxes either that the one that was operating brought in. So, like I said, it's just a point of contention, maybe just with me and maybe not other supervisors, but they keep acting like they passed that law and now we're getting all this extra money. And I go, no, it's not. Any other comments or questions, Ms. Judd? Tom?
No, thank you.
The chair's points are well taken.
Well, if there's no other questions, thank you, Juan. We look forward to working with you on this budget, and we'll always expect you to bring in as much money.
I don't want to put any pressure on you.
So before we adjourn, the next meeting will be Tuesday, April the 18th at 9 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors Executive Conference Room for a budget work session specifically with the Sheriff's Department. Having said that, this meeting is adjourned.